Good morning. It's 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. My son came down for a visit from Seattle and a reunion with a couple of his high school buddies, both of whom live here in Phoenix. And we had a grand old time for the last few days. We went and saw the Norton Auto Museum, which is magnificent. And then yesterday we went and saw a B-29 that's transiting through Phoenix on its way to other display stops. So we got to go inside the B-29 and climb up and look in the cockpit and the engineer station and the tube that goes from the front of the airplane all the way to the tail gunner's position way in the back, and walk around that thing. It's a monster. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's called Doc, and it's one of 9 that were built at the end of the war when they weren't needed in Europe. So they were put into military use as planes for calibrating radar or something like that. There were 9 of them, so they named them the 7 Dwarfs. This is Doc that was here. And one for Snow White, and one for, they just said the witch. I don't know the good witch or the bad witch, but it was Snow White, 7 Dwarfs, and the witch. And they flew those in the radar calibrating mode for a long time. Doc and Fifi, another B-29, are the only 2 that are still flying. So anyway, we had a good time, but I didn't get anything accomplished last week because prior to Mike coming down, we had a visit from friends from Alaska. So we had the last week or so, week plus, I've got nothing really done. All I did was take the timing cover off the Gold bike and ship it to AMR down in Tucson for the modification. And it's gone. It's down there now. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the primary off this bike, and the whole primary, the outer and the inner, and start the installation of the Alton electric starter. We had a battery box made for it up here, and you can see it up underneath. It's a swing down type deal, and the battery is way up there and in the hollow tail section. And so I've got to wire that to put in a relay and put the Alton starter here in the new inner primary cover and retaining the outer primary cover. There'll be a color difference, but that's just the way it is. Okay, so that's what I'm going to start today at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll set this thing up, and I don't think I'll be doing any high speed on this particular video because this stuff is pretty interesting and I don't want to skim over it. That's where we are. That's what I'm going to do. Well, that was sort of a false start. After shooting that last video, I decided I better eat something before I start this project. So it's 10 to 9 right now, so we're going to start the project. And I've got it set in the tripod. I'm hoping to get a reasonably clear angle here. Let's see if I can get this up any higher. Maybe a better angle up there. And how's that? I think that's a better angle. That's as high as it goes. And let's see. That'll give you more clarity on the actual work at this point. And I'll try to keep my elbows out of the video. So we'll count this as a 9 o'clock start, and we're going to start by getting this brake pedal out of the way. I was going to take the whole thing off, but I realized if I just disconnect this linkage right here, this pedal should just flop down out of the way. So I'm going to try to decide this side or this side. Let's take a look. Let's try. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Might be metric. It's a custom bike. So let's use a metric and see how it is. Oh, it's not a 10. And not in 11. Let's go back to US. Go back to 7/16. Let's show you the tiger. All right. Okay. I'm going to leave this bolt, washer, and nut right in this linkage. That's the best place to store a nut and bolt is in the hole where it goes, as long as it's out of your way. Okay, that's pretty clear here. We got a stop here that might stop us. If that, we'll see how it goes. Because this stop seems to be built into this bracket from the backside, and I don't think I'm going to be able to remove it. It's loose, and I can't tighten it. So if this proves to be a conflict, then I'll take this big nut out right here and take this whole brake assembly off. Let me see if I can take a look down here without getting my head in the way. I don't think so. 5/8, probably 9/16. It's well put on. Well now. I don't think that I want to break that free. Okay, I did. All right. There we go. All right, back to plan A. Take the whole thing off. There we go. Very nicely done. Once again, put the bolt right where it belongs. Everything's out of the way now. All right. All right, so now we have an oil catcher, and it's full of a monster amount of oil. Let's get the other one. I always clean the catch pans so I can see if anything comes out of here. I'll know that it came out of here and wasn't in the pan. Interesting. Not Whitworth. Normally it's a 3/4 inch. It is. Never mind. Okay, fine. See how this cover comes off. It may be dry because I don't think this pipe was ever written. It may not have a gasket in it because that is a close seam. So let's see what happens here, because I sure hate to mess up this beautiful gold powder coat. By the way, this does less damage to these than trying to do this with anything else by hand. They fit in there nice, they give it a good sharp wrap. If you hold them in here, they don't do any damage. So don't give out and say, hey, you shouldn't use an impact tool. Yes, you should. You really honestly should. Does a beautiful job. I just want to see what's in here before I go any further. Feels pretty dry. Ooh. Sure looks dry, but then it's been sitting a long time, so maybe it just looks dry. Oh, I don't want to break this. All right. Guess a man's got to do what a man's got to do. Once again, box cutter blades. I'm going to go way down here where it can't be seen, and way up here where it shouldn't be seen, and try to get these into the seam. Without doing any damage. That is the tightest. That is the tightest cover I have ever seen. Feels like it was powder coated together. I can't even get the blade in here. There, it barely fits in there. Oh my goodness. All right, we'll try up here. See if I can catch a seam. It is so tight. How about that? We struck oil. All right. Hmm. All right. Very nice. Now, if any of you have ever seen me do this before, excuse me, got distracted. You know I usually spray the heck out of that primary case with CRC carb cleaner to get all the oil out. Same thing with the cover. I just tilt it up over a container and spray the heck out of it with CRC carb cleaner. Now, the one thing that I need you to know is I love this stuff. It'll cut through 40-year-old grease just like a hot knife through butter, but it also will affect powder coating. So don't use this on powder coated surfaces. So I'm not going to use it to clean out that primary case. I'll take that into my kitchen. First of all, I'll wipe it out, and then I'll spray it with S100, which is doesn't damage the powder coat. And then I'll take it into the kitchen and wash it with soap and water. But I won't use CRC on this bike anywhere because it does affect powder coating. So that's just the way it is. Let's see if I can get a good video of my shoulder. I'm gonna wipe this out and set it up to accumulate the grease at the bottom, oil at the bottom. And then I'll wipe it out. In the meantime, back at the ranch, let's pull the primary drive out of this thing. And I'm going to stop this for just a minute while I answer a text. All right, I was taken away by a text I needed to answer. Let's continue with this particular project. And the fun just never stops. Nice Japanese connectors. That one's loose. Oh, came right off. Okay. Crappy little Japanese connectors. Well, whoever put it together did a good job. Hello. I am not talking to myself.
Huh?
I am not talking to myself. Hi, how you doing? How you doing?
So you got her done?
I'm getting her started.
Oh.
Hang on. Hello, world. Say hi to my lady friend, Sean.
No,
Sean is actually a better mechanic than I am,
no. You're just joking.
so she really understands all this.
You're joking?
No, that's not joke. You rebuilt your airplane's engine. I have never done anything like that.
I did it with a lot of help, dude.
Well, yeah, but you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway.
Trash hasn't picked up yet?
No,
They don't look the same. Did you go move them?
no. Yeah, I actually did move.
Oh.
That's not going back in. The Alton gives us a whole new alternator. There's no specific sequence. I can take this off first, I can take this off first, then the chain comes off. Both pulleys come off with the chain together. So it's nothing exotic. It's just whichever one you want to do first. Let's see if this will break free easily or if I have to work at it. And the answer is I have to work at it. From what I've seen so far, I'll probably end up using even the bigger cheater bar. Now, I used to have a whole bunch of different spacers that I would put in here and lock these up. And they were fun, but didn't do that good. So now I just use various and sundry sockets. Like I can probably put a socket right about here to lock this. And it will let me undo that front one. Let's see if I can do it. Nothing exotic, just a socket in the teeth. Sometimes these rotors just slip right off. Sometimes they have to be pulled. Let's find out what this one does. That answers that question. Okay, now to get the key out, the easiest way is with a pair of cutting pliers. Just reach in and grab the edge of the key, lift it up, and it comes right out. Then the spacer is just, the spacer just comes right out. Yes, sir, Bob. Watch it just come right out. Here you go, coming right out. Yep, Don't you know? The part that's never a problem. What the heck with it? This is a gear puller that I had modified to, it used to be a 3-legged, and I cut off the 3rd leg. Then I had a welder extend these a long way, and I use it for pulling that rotor off when that rotor doesn't want to come. Right now I'm going to use it to pull this little spacer off since it doesn't want to come. There it goes. It just doesn't seem like the right spacer, but it was in there. Okay. All right, let's get this side off. All right, now I've got to release the pressure on this pressure plate here. It's very dangerous. If you just undo this ring clip, it'll fire out at you and hurt you. So you have to use a special ring compressor, spring compressor here. And this is it. It goes here. This goes here, that goes there, into the hole. Then you tighten down this nut, which is usually 3/4. Let's find out. And you keep doing that until you feel this plate turn like that. Now all the spring tension is taken out, and you can take it out safely. And you can release it. Find the release point. Hello, release point. Oh, it's not turning, that's why. Here it is down here. Lift it out. Okay. Now you can get to your plates. I don't think I've ever seen a bike come in with the original bronze plates. How about that? These are the original centered bronze plates. And usually they've been changed out by now. But let's see if I can get that. See that? That's nice. All right, I'm going to stop for just a moment while I answer the text guy again. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I got a client with a little bit of a pilot jet problem, and I'm trying to talk him through clearing up the pilot jets. So let's go back to this. We've got the, we have the, let's see, are we getting good video? Good voice? Yeah, we got voice. All right, we've got the rotor off, alternator stator off. We have the clutch plates out. Now we take the center nut out and take all of this out of here. Is this locked down? It is. Somebody locked it down very nicely. Whoever worked on this bike was really good. I got no problems at all with anything I found on it. All the workmanship on all of the custom stuff is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful machining. Not my style, but it is beautiful machining. It is incredibly well made. Look at all this. It's just gorgeous. That's not tight because it doesn't need to be. You have a good locking here. You snug it down. You can torque it if you want, but it ain't coming loose. Okay. So that's going to slide off. And this guy is going to have to be pulled. Okay, I'll get a different puller to take this off. This bag holds parts that make a puller. This is the puller. These are all the various and sundry bolts to fit all the various and sundry holes, threaded holes in the various and sundry sprockets. So I'm going to make up a, I'll turn this over here. And between, let's just go back and forth. Okay. I need to find 2 bolts that'll screw in right here. Too big. Probably too coarse. Yeah, those are coarse, not those. Let's try this. Let's try these. Yeah, these will do it. Okay, so let's get back over to this side. I'm going to go back over here and focus on the pulley. Okay, still got good voice, reasonably good video. If I can just keep my big old hairy arms out of the way, we will, these screw in here. Now, then this guy goes across and goes against here. Now, what I do is I put spacers in here, so I don't have to screw it, all the way. Let's see. didn't work. Little crooked there. Sorry. Oh me, oh my, oh me. Whatever shall I do? Hallelujah. The question is peculiar. I have to take this loose. I don't know why it's tight all the way down. Yeah, right. Which means all right. All right, so let's see if we can draw this sprocket off here. Shouldn't be that hard. But it is. Oh, doggone it. I hate it when that happens. Should pop right off of there. Nothing holding it on. I hate using a cheater bar on it. Let's see if it'll pop off. You reading it? Yeah, video. Yeah. Okay.
Let me know when I'll be back. I'll let you know.
All right, let me know. I can use brute force on this. I can get a 3-foot cheater bar and put it on that socket. Or I can try the impact tool and see if shocking it will break it free. I'm going to try the impact tool first and see if the shock of the impact tool will break it free. Don't you know, as soon as you go to video, things that you've done a dozen times suddenly get difficult. Let's try this guy. I have to tighten this, so I am going the right direction. And the answer is no. Oh my. I hate using brute force on video. Yeah. Am I doing this right? I think I'm doing it right. There it goes. All right. That's scary stuff when that happens. I don't know where my little socket went. Okay. So I just laid this in the tooth of the gear right here in front of the upright, and it locked it very nicely. Okay. And all of this goes back in the bag for the next time. All right, so we have the primary drive off. Now we have to take this whole back case off. It's only held on by 1, 2, 3 nuts and bolts. I mean, this is for the wire. This is connected to the back of it, so it's not really holding it on. Actually it is, but not really. So it just goes through there. But there is a secret little nasty guy right here. This guy with a little channel, first of all, it has a spacer, which has to be replaced, probably. And it has a spacer with a cutaway in it. All right? That cutaway fits over top of a clip on here. It's a very tiny little clip. I'll take the camera and I'll zoom in on it so you can see that clip. It is really small, and you'd think, my goodness, how fragile that might be. But what happens is, this is the spacer clip right there. And it fits inside that groove on the back of this washer, the spacer. And that's what sets the spacing for the alignment of the clutch hub to the front sprocket. These little shims are used, and this guy fits over that clip. Now we have to remove that clip in order to take this, take the primary case off. So I'm going to get in there and try that. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, here's the little clip. If you look right here, you can see the gap. This is the clip, this is the gap. And you have to get under these edges and spread it and lift it out of there. I can't do it one-handed while holding this light, and I can't really hold the camera. So I'm gonna get a special pair of pliers and see if I can spring that. And if not, I'll do it with jeweler's screwdrivers. I'll be back. But I'll leave this running, actually. Let's come over here and get a pair of secret type pliers. Once it's spread. These are pliers. Hello. Set of pliers with tips that are really, really small. And they spread. So I'm going to use these to try to take that clip off of there. This ought to be an adventure. I can't see anymore. I'm to the point where I really can't see in the dark. Semi-dark, sort of dark, anything dark. So I take a lot of light. Whereas you young guys will just see this just fine, thank you. Now it's spread. Get it up over the edge. Okay, failure number one. Maybe I can lift that out. I would have sworn I just had a little pair of pliers here. Nope, didn't work. Okay. This is how a 5-minute job turns into a full hour job. So how long did it take you to take that clip out of there, Frank? Oh, about an hour and a half. That's my friend with the Lamborghini across the way. 800 horsepower. Oh, no, that's a Harley. That's not the Lamborghini, that's the guy with the Harley. made these tips on these pliers specifically for this job, and they do the job, but they don't do it easy. All right, I'm up and over. Now let's see if I can get it out of there. And I've lost it. All right. Stand by, I'm going to get more light. Okay, I'm serious when I say I can't see in the dark anymore. I'm 82, and dim light is, I just can't see in it. I've got more LEDs in the ceiling of my shop than you can ever imagine. Just let me do this. I got them everywhere. I have so many LEDs in the ceiling of my shop that people put on their sunglasses when they come in to visit. I got lights everywhere, trying to get enough light to see, okay? So now I have this portable light here, which I bought, which is really nice, shining on the area. And I'm gonna zoom in and try to get this clip off this shaft. It's not hard, it's just intricate, shall we say. All right, still got good audio? Yeah, we do, good. So let's get down in here and see if I can get this done with light. We're keeping my arms out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And Bob's your uncle. Let's go. Okay, so let's see. Try not to cover the light. Try not to cover the work. Try to get this into there high enough to get this underneath of it so I can then lift it out of there. All right, I'm gonna stop the video now and I'll come back to you once I've headed off. And then I'm not gonna tell you how I did it. Okay, well, it's 6 hours later. Well, not really, just feels like it. What I did was I took a very small jeweler's screwdriver, put it into the crevice, and then sort of peeled like this and lifted this end up over the edge of the sharp groove and got both ends out. Once you have both ends out, then it just does that. And that's what we've been messing with. Okay, so now at this point in time, we're ready to take this off. Put all these little bitty things that I tried to use away and take that inner primary out. This is what it looks like. You see, you have to get underneath these two ends and lift it out. And these are sharp edges, so they really don't want to come out of that groove. They could have made it more difficult, but it would have taken a lot of effort. So, what can you say? All right, so while we're here on this particular area, I'm going to undo the bolts in the front, and that should let me lift this primary case off. One, two, three. And they have locking tabs on them, so we will unlock them and then take them out. Don't have to be too careful with these, or we're not going to reuse them. I normally don't. They give you new ones with the new kit. Now, by the way, when I was talking to Sean and told you all that she's a better mechanic than I am, she actually is an incredibly good mechanic. She understands everything I'm doing out here. I said she overhauled her airplane's engine. She did. We have a friend up in, she lives in Alaska. And we have a friend up there, Ron, who's I think it's called AP mechanic, airframe, and I'm not sure what that means, but he's a certified mechanic. And she had a Cessna 180 or 182, I believe it is. And she flew it all around Alaska, going to small towns and villages, because she is a retired now nurse practitioner. And she flew all over Alaska for 40 years doing medical services to small towns and villages. And she and Ron overhauled that engine, split it all the way down to the cases, put it back together. And I find that very, very interesting, to say the least. Okay, so she really is a good mechanic. And there comes the oil that's in the engine. All the oil oil that's drained down into the engine is now coming out. Which is why you should always drain your sump before you start your bike if it's been sitting for a while. And that's also why I sent that timing cover to Tucson to be modified, just so this won't happen again. Now at this point in time, there's nothing holding that primary case onto the engine. So I can break it free and take it off. If it wants to break free and be taken off. But it's not going back on. So I don't have to be too careful with it. There it is. All right. If you've always wondered what's behind your primary, that's what's behind your primary. That gasket's going to be a bear to get off, but that's just the way it is. I could leave it on. I mean, seriously, it's such a good gasket. I could have left it on, but I'm not going to. This part comes off. We have a new one of these with the kit. Feels about like a 1/2 inch wrench in there. Nope. 9/16 suspect. If they're both the same size. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop the video for a while. I have to get this gasket off, which is boring, and clean things up and unpack the Alton. So I'm just going to push stop, and I'll be back after a while. All right, I'm going to show you a trick. This is an old hacksaw blade that I ground all the teeth off of. And then I ground the end down to a chisel point, like a small, there's the trash man. I could do that job, that's a cool job. I always wave, they're nice guys, they wave back. Anyway, chisel point on a old hacksaw blade. It makes a really good remover for gaskets. And this gasket is actually coming off of here. Good. At the pressure points, it's really, really tight. But when you get away from the pressure points, it's coming off pretty straightforward. Get underneath. And it's coming off pretty good. But when you get to the pressure points, it tightens up. So let's see what we can accomplish here for a few minutes on tape, and then I'll turn off the tape and take the rest off. May have spoke too soon. Oh, see, there it goes underneath pretty good. Sort of illustrates why you need gaskets. They're great where there's pressure on them, but not so good the rest of the time. Now when I put the new gasket on here, I will use the anaerobic sealer. But I sure have to say, this one did a good job for a lot of years. Okay, I'm going to turn off the video because the rest of this is going to take some time and it's boring. All right, I've got the primary case completely off. Got all that gasket material off, cleaned up, ready for a new gasket when I put it back together. The primary case here is, I cleaned it up and it's ready to go outside. It does not go back on. We have a whole new primary case. I was surprised to find out that, yay, verily, this bike has been on the show tour for 10 years apparently, but it's actually been ridden. I mean, I didn't really realize that. It's been ridden. You can see where the chain has rubbed the inside of the primary and some wear. And so it hasn't been just a stationary display bike. It's been ridden. So good, that's good to know. Anyway, I'm going to put this aside, and I have the cover itself over on the wall over there, safely on the shelf. And I'm going to start unpacking the Alton box and taking out all the Alton components, and I'll show you what they look like. Well, let's unpack the Alton starter kit and take a look at what's inside. Okay, I seem to have good volume. I've got good video fixed. Once again, I'll try to keep my big, ugly, hairy arms out of the way, which is asking a lot because I tend to get in the way. Let's move this way over here. See how that goes. Maybe I can work from this angle and not get in the way. We'll find out. Okay, so here we go. This is ignition switch. This bike doesn't have an ignition since it was no battery and basically no nothing. It was just using alternator, rectifier, and a kill switch. So this is going to be the ignition switch. I'll find some place to hook this up on this bike. This is the Wassel vape ignition system because the bike was using points. And this is the ignition system. So we have an ignition switch and an ignition system. I thought I had a rectifier in stock, and it turns out it was an empty box. I don't know how I did that. I used it somewhere and didn't replace it. So I got to order a rectifier Zener diode replacement, a solid state rectifier system. So let's open up the box and see what happens. Starter kit. Instructions. Very good instructions. Let's see. A box. I've always wanted a box. Nice box. Packing material. I've always wanted that. This is some tubing for wiring. Some Allen bolts. These are shims for centering the stator rotor, alternator rotor. These are shock absorbers that go inside the starter assembly. They give you spares, which is very nice, plus the necessary Allen wrenches. This is the new bolt that I was telling you about that comes out the center of the primary case with a new outer nut. That's very nice. This is the chain that runs, that the starter turns in order to start the bike. It goes on the outside of the front pulley, front sprocket. And this is the verflappen that goes on the Hulwacken. And another Duflacken Wacken Dacken Wacken that goes on the rammer jam. And you know how I jam things up with sockets? This is for the same purpose. And here is some power cables that go from the relay to the starter motor. Nice package. So that's this box, which I will now empty and put all this stuff back in. Another box. I've got boxes. I have another box. This is the new alternator stator. Isn't that pretty? And this is the front pulley that the chain I showed you hooks to. And this inside is the alternator rotor, which fits in here, like so. Isn't that nice? And here are little Allen wrenches, Allen screws, that hold this stator to the inside of the new primary case. So, getting to the big box. Padding. 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 Gotta admit, it's well protected, well padded. Oh, another box. I like boxes. This is the starter relay they supply. Much smaller than the starter relay that Norton used on the 75. Nice little compact starter relay. Okay. And a bracket for same, if you want to use it. I never do. and a wire. Okay. So we got 3 boxes and a big box. More padding. More padding. The new inner primary with the starter motor attached. Not nice? Isn't that pretty? Wow. That's lovely. Got a rubber gasket in here, rubber seal. Your alternator wires go here and go through without leaking oil because they're grommeted. Starter motor is in place, doesn't need to be taken off. Wow, isn't that pretty? Padding. And an empty box. So, how you like them apples? Okay, now, isn't that pretty? Nicely cast, nicely machined. Let me turn the camera around and I'll show you how it just sort of fits in there. Let's do a little walking over here and see how this looks. Okay. Okay. In a nutshell, it might get in the way. This guy goes in here like this. Isn't that pretty? 3 bolts here, and that's installed. There's more to it than that, but isn't that a pretty setup? The way that goes on. Okay. Gonna get myself a new gasket. And what time is it? It's 12:30. I don't think I'm going to go any farther today. I think Kevin wants to see the installation. This disassembly is pretty straightforward. So I'm not going to do much more today except reconnoiter different ways of running the wires to this battery. Drop down the battery box, take the battery out, see where I will be hooking up the rectifier assembly, and starting to think about where to mount the ignition switch. So I'm not going to go any farther on the physical installation of the starter itself at this point, but I am going to do some reconnoitering for electrical accessories needed to run the starter. Okay, so I'm going to stop this for a few minutes while I look around. All right, so I'm starting to explore the bike to decide how to get at all the electrical stuff that's up inside here. I've unsnapped this cover. I've undone these bolts. I looked under here, and this is where we pray the mechanic's prayer, which is, "Oh, please, dear Lord, let these be screwed into a captive nuts. Oh, please be captive." I don't know how I'd get under there or not. Okay, so I've got the wires disconnected. This breather hose disconnected. The wiring code, they change colors right there at the connectors. And I need to get up under here and start allocating room for the starter relay, the starter switch, the new rectifier regulator, and the black box for the ignition system. So that all has to go somewhere, hopefully up in this area. So I'm going to try this and see if these are indeed into captive, oh please, captive nuts, and see what happens. I'll be back. And for joy, they were captive. Good. Oh, that's very nice. Welded right to the frame. Huh. Blue capacitor. A bracket for this, I guess that supports the seat. The vent line, which is incredibly over-engineered. This is the new battery box. And this is the old rectifier, which we're going to replace. Let's see how this thing is wired. Is it wired positive ground? Here's a red wire going to ground. That's a good thing. And here's a ground wire. Let's assume it goes to ground also. So we'll be changing this kind of stuff. Hard to tell what that was originally. Oh, that's right, the old resistor pack, the Norton ignition resistor pack was back here. So that's probably to that. All right, nice battery box. Nice tie down. Way to go. My good buddy Bill built this. And it actually folds down. It pivots on these. You, I assume you undo these two, and this whole unit pivots down so that you can change the battery. That's quite a deal. All right, how much farther do I want to go today? Not a lot, mainly because I'm tired. Huh. Okay. This is actually a pretty good place to stop. I'm going to go inside and order the rectifier unit and the two new tires. And when Kevin's here, we may bolt this assembly on, the starter assembly on, to get it in place. And then after that, it can sit and wait for the tires to be installed and for me to get the electrical units in and installed. That is one big oil tank. I wish they'd made this side a battery box. If they'd just made this half a battery box, this guy could have gone inside of it, and you could have a toolkit and everything else. But that whole thing is a battery box. Excuse me, an oil tank, all the way across. I bet that sucker could hold 7, 8, 10 quarts of oil in there. At least twice the 3 normal. Oh well. Okay, that's what I work with. Isn't that pretty? Oh, this one goes up here somewhere. All right. What's this for? That's pinstriping. I'll put some glue on that and stick it back. Looks like it's been hit by this peg. Okay. All right, it's a good place to stop. I can go inside and post this. Kevin comes here, we may mount the starter assembly, and then I'll work on the electrical afterwards. In the meantime, everything is here for the blue bathtub, and I'll take that one down while I order the electrical and the tires, put this one up, and hopefully finish it and get her out of here. Let's see. That's what it is. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to go do some paperwork, post these videos, and call it a day.